In the opening scene, we meet Yong, a star boxer who, despite being on the verge of turning 17, has already made a name for himself in national-level boxing tournaments. One night, following a major victory, Yong eagerly heads home, unaware that his mother and younger sister are preparing a surprise for him, filled with excitement for his return. But when he arrives, he is devastated to find them lying on the floor, covered in blood. Suddenly, someone attacks Yong from behind, attempting to kill him too. However, drawing on his skills as a fighter, Yong overpowers his assailant and, consumed by rage, beats him to death. The scene transitions to Kigwa High School, where a group of students listens to the news about Yong's imprisonment. Although the people he killed were robbers, his use of boxing techniques led authorities to view it as an assault rather than an act of self-defense. As a result, the teenager was sentenced to prison for murder. Sitting quietly at the front of the class is Soo-bin, a shy and timid student. Having been severely bullied at his previous school, he now struggles with social anxiety. However, after transferring to this new school, Soo-bin has managed to make a few friends and is slowly getting his life back on track. One day, the teacher enters and introduces a new student to the class, Tony, a boxer and the main bully from Soo-bin's previous school. Soo-bin trembles with fear at the sight of Tony, as all the haunting memories of hiding in the dark and enduring torment come flooding back to him. When the teacher is away, Tony attacks the former bullies to establish his dominance. He then casually greets Soo-bin and suddenly starts hitting him without any explanation. A girl steps in to defend Soo-bin, shoving the bully away. In response, Tony strikes her too. For the first time in his life, Soo-bin stands up to him, pleading for him to stop and leave her alone. He immediately regrets his actions, knowing Tony will now make him pay. Desperate to protect himself, Soo-bin grabs a ballpoint pen from the floor. Tony dares him to use it. And in a moment of sheer panic, Soo-bin stabs him in the eye. In the next scene, Soo-bin stands trial, accused of attempted murder. Too frightened to testify against the bully, he is found guilty and sentenced to 2 years in prison. Afterward, the unfortunate boy is arrested and forced onto a bus filled with young offenders. By chance, he ends up sitting next to Yong and manages to earn his favor. Later that day, all the newcomers are assigned to their respective cell. Soo-bin befriends a burglar named Min, and both are placed in the same cell. There, another inmate explains the prison hierarchy, revealing that there are 3 main leaders, Jun, Akio, and Han. Jun is seen as the good one, often intervening to prevent Akio and Han from attacking others without cause. However, Akio and Han recently joined forces against Jun, deceiving him into being placed in solitary confinement. Since then, they have taken control of the prison, bossing inmates around and assaulting anyone they choose. Despite everything, Yong remains the top figure in the prison, commanding respect from everyone. He keeps to himself and only fights when provoked. As the best boxer among the inmates, even Akio and Han fear him. On their first day in prison, Min and Soo-bin watch a football match between Akio, Han, and their teams. When 2 players get injured, Han invites the pair to join the game. Not wanting to cause any trouble, they reluctantly agree and step onto the field. Soo-bin barely moves, causing Han's team to lag behind. Fearing punishment, he shuts his eyes to kick the ball but accidentally strikes Akio in the groin. Akio collapses in pain. Once he recovers, Akio and his followers drag Soo-bin to a secluded spot. The incident brings back memories of when the same thing happened to him at school. Trembling with fear, he cries and begs for mercy, but no one pays attention. Suddenly, they encounter Yong and immediately act as if nothing is wrong. This moment makes Soo-bin realize that even the bullies are afraid of Yong. When their grip loosens, Soo-bin dashes to Yong and pleads for help. Although Yong usually keeps to himself, seeing Soo-bin's desperation moves him to intervene. Akio attempts to fight back but is knocked down with a single punch. Soo-bin was stunned, because he had never witnessed such fearlessness before. The inmates also receive education while in prison. During class, Akio fixates on Soo-bin, determined to teach him a lesson since he can't confront Yong directly. Suddenly, a guard calls Subin outside to meet a visitor. The visitor turns out to be Tony, who has completely lost vision in the eye Subin stabbed, effectively ending his boxing career. Additionally, he was expelled from school and is now homeless and broke. He blames Subin for everything and eagerly awaits his release from prison. Subin keeps apologizing and pleading for forgiveness. Terrified at the thought of facing the bully again, he begs for mercy. But Tony remains determined to kill him someday. The next day in class, Subin spots Yong training outside through the window. This makes him realize that he has 2 years to prepare if he wants to survive Tony's threat. During recess, Subin approaches Yong and asks him to teach him self-defense. At first, Yong refuses, worried that Subin might use the skills to become a bully like the others. But Subin explains that he's tired of always being the victim and has reached his breaking point. He can't keep running from his fears. This honesty makes Yong realize that Subin is just a vulnerable kid. Having experienced being on the receiving end himself, Yong believes Subin won't abuse his strength if he's trained. To test Subin's endurance, Yong challenges him to run 100 laps in 40 minutes, saying the training will only begin if he succeeds. Determined to prove himself, Subin starts running, maintaining his pace despite being unaccustomed to the effort. As he runs, memories of how Tony and his gang insulted, berated, and beat him flood his mind. He recalls being so terrified that he would wet himself as they relentlessly kicked him. The fear of ever being in that helpless position again fuels his determination to keep going. During the final laps, Subin struggles visibly, and Yong urges him to stop. But Subin pushes through, finishing all 100 laps and releasing his frustration with a scream. He collapses immediately afterward and has to be supported by Yong. The boxer now realizes just how much Subin truly needs help. So, Yong speaks to the prison warden about having Subin moved to his cell. The warden, a fan of Yong from his boxing days, knows he's not a troublemaker. As a result, he agrees to let Subin and Yong share the same cell. In the next scene, Yong gets Subin ready for his first day of training. He starts with a few push-ups, but Subin's form is so poor that it makes Yong let out a sigh. It becomes clear to him that he'll need a lot of patience to train the kid. Meanwhile, Akio is also training and plotting to get to Subin when he's not protected by his boxer guardian. His minions suggest targeting Min, since he used to be close to Subin. If they can use Min to lure Subin away from Yong, they'll finally have a chance to get to him. Elsewhere, when Yong sees that Subin can't even manage a single pull-up, he asks how he survived with such a weak body. Subin responds by saying he's exhausted and wants to rest. Yong begins to wonder if he made a mistake agreeing to train him. He warns Subin that if he's looking for the easy way out, he'll be sent back to his cell. This reminder brings Subin back to his purpose, and he pushes himself to keep trying the pull-ups. Each day, the number of reps increases, and Subin struggles to keep pace. He feels the training is too intense, until he begins to notice real changes in his body. During this time, a genuine friendship forms between him and Yong. Outside the prison, Tony often gets into fights with local thugs. One night, he single-handedly takes on an entire group, drawing the attention of a gangster. Impressed by Tony's fighting skills, the gangster offers him a spot in his gang along with a hefty paycheck. At first, Tony refuses, unwilling to become anyone's pawn, and even insults the gangster, earning himself a slap in return. The man gives Tony one final chance to join, promising training and employment. Tony accepts the offer and begins working for him. The next day at lunch in prison, Min and Subin are talking when Min reveals that Yong is about to turn 18 and will soon be transferred to an adult prison. Once he's gone, no one will be around to protect Subin from Akio, so he needs to be especially cautious. Subin is caught off guard by the news and feels hurt that Yong never mentioned it to him. Later, Subin asks Yong if he's really leaving the prison. Yong confirms it and tells him to concentrate on his training. He reminds Subin that he was going to be on his own eventually, and it's better for him to start preparing now. Meanwhile, Min is being harassed by two of Akio's minions. As they start beating him, Subin steps in and interrupts them. They demand that he lower his gaze when speaking to them, but Subin refuses. When they try to attack him, he's finally able to defend himself with ease. Later on, Akio hears about the incident and is furious. He orders his minions to bring Subin to him by any means necessary. Caught between fear of Akio and Yong, the minions plead with Subin to cooperate. He agrees and goes to meet Akio at his secret spot. Before Akio can speak, Subin bows and apologizes for hitting his men, explaining that he only acted because they attacked Min first. However, the apology only fuels Akio's rage. A fight breaks out between them, and Subin's progress is clear, his punches now carry weight. They seem evenly matched in strength and skill, but eventually, Akio knocks Subin down. Exhausted and bruised, Subin lies motionless on the ground. Just when everyone assumes the fight is over, he rises to his feet, ready for a second round. Subin quickly gains the upper hand, unleashing a relentless flurry of punches on Akio. The fight only comes to an end when Yong arrives and intervenes. Together, they walk away with confidence, sending a clear message that no one will dare challenge Subin again. Meanwhile, Tony is gaining recognition as a street fighter. He learns the brutal tactics of the gangs and feels satisfied to have found a chance to pursue what he truly enjoys. In the next scene, Subin and Yong are training together for the final time. Subin nearly lands a punch on Yong's face, marking the completion of his training. As Yong prepares to leave, he asks Subin if he knows what sharks are like. He explains that a shark must keep moving constantly, because if it stops, it sinks. Yong tells Subin to be like a shark and then says his farewell. After Yong leaves, Jun is released from solitary confinement. With him back, bullying is expected to decrease. That day, Han challenges Subin to a fight, promising that if Subin wins, he will stop bothering anyone in the prison. They agreed to meet behind the warehouse in 5 days for the match. During this period, Tony visits Subin. He's heard the rumors about Subin's training and the strength he's gained over the past year. Rather than feeling worried, Tony is excited, knowing that their upcoming fight will be even more intense. In the next scene, Subin and Han face off in front of the crowd. Both are equally skilled, but Han can't match Subin's determination and resilience. Eventually, the guards arrive and send them both to solitary confinement. A few days later, they are released. Han acknowledges his defeat and vows to stop hurting others as he promised. Over time, the leaders begin to get along, putting an end to the fights in the prison. Gradually, everyone starts forming friendships with one another. Elsewhere, Yong is training another man in the same way he trained Subin. When the man feels like giving up, Yong motivates him by sharing Subin's example, encouraging him to keep pushing forward. Finally, 2 years have passed, and it's time for Subin to be released. Outside, Tony waits for him, ready to teach him one last lesson. Subin asks why Tony hates him so much, but receives no response. The final battle begins, with both fighters struggling to land a single punch. Soon, Tony gains the upper hand and relentlessly attacks Subin, just as he did back in school. At his lowest point, Subin recalls Yong's words about sharks and finds the strength to rise. Fueled by renewed determination, he launches a powerful attack and defeats Tony with a special punch taught by Yong. Then, Subin walks away, leaving an injured Tony behind. In the final scene, Subin visits Yong in prison. He mentions having seen a resting shark and is beginning to doubt Yong's theory about sharks always needing to keep moving. Yong counters by saying that the shark must have been dead, and the two share a laugh together. And that's where the story ends. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell to get updated on every video that we upload. Thank you and have a great day.